speaker to give the introduction of the guest of honor of today's function.
Thank you, madam.
Present here and my इस पद का उद्देश्य यही है सीमांत जिसके आगे राम हो. These lines of the poem clearly portray today's eminent personality. It is a dream come true for me, as I have always admired him, following the arduous path alone like a crusader. An additional Solicitor General of India, Justice of the Supreme Court of India, and the JeetoBharat strengthen my belief that winners don't do different things, they do things differently. Completing his earlier education in Bangalore and Madras, he graduated with a law degree from Government Law College, Bangalore, in the year 1965. Advocate in 1966, Senior Advocate in 1984, Advocate General for the State of Karnataka in the same year, Solicitor General of India in 1998, and finally adorned the place in the Supreme Court of India. After retirement, he was conferred Honorary Doctorate of Law degree by Bangalore University in the year 2005. It is our attitude, not aptitude, that defines our attitude. This altitude was reached on the historic day when he was appointed as Lokayuta of Karnataka. It was on 3rd August 2006 that he started making history by fighting against the evils of corruption. I, Manjeet Kaur, warmly welcome you. I request you to come over the days and address the session. Beautiful things happen to beautiful people with beautiful hearts and beautiful faces. I pray every day adds more beauty to this beautiful life. Thank you.
To the ones who filled our mind with greatness. With this note, I request Mr. Sudhir Gupta, CEO and MD of Corporate India, to present the bouquet and a memento as a token of love to the guest of honor. Thank you, Chief, and light the lamp. I now request Shri Santosh Hegde sir to brief the audience on the role of civil services in democracy and throw some light on corruption in public services, including various anti-corruption measures that are prevalent in our country.
Invited for another function at Bangalore, and I accepted the invitation to be here, and there was some change in the program. and I couldn't be here in time. Well, when we were drafting the Constitution of India, many speakers were speaking about the creation of executive under the Constitution. As you all must be knowing, India created 3 pillars under the Constitution: the legislature, the executive, and the judiciary. If you follow the debates in the Constituent Assembly, as I understand it, there is a clear separation of powers between the executive, the legislature on one side, and the judiciary on the other. Legislature is created to make laws and policies which the executive is supposed to follow, to supervise whether the executives are really following the law laid down by the legislature. A small bridge was created between the legislature and the executive. That bridge consisted of the cabinet. They are all members of the legislature appointed as ministers, and they were supposed to supervise the acts and functions of the legislature. The judiciary was created to resolve the disputes between the state and the citizen and citizens. This was a clear function which is given to the 3 pillars of the Constitution. For the first decade, I think everything was functioning properly as put forth by our constitutional frameworks. As a matter of fact, to keep the executive independent, if you follow the debates in the Constituent Assembly, we find the members of the Constituent Assembly spoke with certain authorities that the legislature should be kept out of from interfering with the executive. Their appointment was not to be made by the government, but by an independent body, the Union Public Service Commissions and the State Public Service Commissions, who were again supposed to be autonomous, independent by themselves, and not to yield to powers that are. The judiciary also has no power to interfere with the decisions taken by the Public Service Commissions. If a member of the Public Service Commission has to be removed from his conduct, then the judiciary will have to decide whether there is a misconduct or not, and then make a reference to the President for his removal. So it's not an easy job to remove that. Similarly, between Article 309 and 311 of the Constitution, a lot of protections have been given to the executive not to be removed from office at the will and pleasure of the legislature or the government of the day. A proper inquiry has to be conducted. That inquiry has to follow the principles of natural justice before a recommendation is made to the President or the Governor to remove the executive. As I mentioned a little earlier, yes, everything was hunky-dory for a couple of decades soon after they adopted the Constitution on the 26th of January 1950. Just to give a personal touch to show the relationship, my father was a government leader and a public prosecutor in the undivided district of South Canada from 1948 to 1952. When he was still holding the office, he had a lot of interaction with the district collector, who was now called the deputy commissioner, and the superintendent of police, because of the criminal cases in the police. And civil cases, revenue cases, which were under the deputy commissioner, then the collector. In 1952, my father resigned to contest elections to Rajya Sabha at that point, the first Rajya Sabha, then called the Council of States. Then the collector comes and meets him and tells him, Mr. Hegde, our relationship till now was that of a client and a lawyer. That relationship does not exist anymore. If you want to meet me, if you have any problem which I can solve it legally, please fix an appointment. Ladies and gentlemen, will it happen today? Will that collector or deputy commissioner will still be holding that office when he tells a member of parliament, fix an appointment and come and see you? This is the change today. Very, very unfortunately, we have gone through this process of change without any protest from the public at large. This indifference on the part of the public at large, I think, created some sort of a fear in the mind of the executive, who are now subservient to our elected representatives. It's a very, very sad state of affairs. In a democracy, which our forefathers who fought for the freedom of this country chose as the rule or principle in a political system in our country. And I was mentioning this afternoon when I was addressing the youth environment, our forefathers who were members of the Constituent Assembly fought for the freedom of this country when they were drafting the Constitution, spoke with emotions. They told the Constituent Assembly, we Indians were never ever independent. We were under the rules of Rajas and Maharajas and the foreigners. They made the law according to their whims and fancies. They never consulted us. We had to follow that law under threat of punishment. So they pleaded, now that we are going to become independent shortly, please accept a political system in this country which every Indian feels that this country is his. This governance is his. And there was a system internationally available. There was a monarchy, there was dictatorship, there was ism-based politics were there. There was also a democracy. The meaning or definition of the word democracy, as explained by Abraham Lincoln, at that time was government of the people, by the people, for the people. We adopted that system, hoping every Indian feels that is part of the system of administration. I worked as Lokayukt Karnataka for 5 years. Till I came there, in retrospect, think I was a frog in the world. I did not know the happenings, sufferings of the people because of maladministration, because of lack of sympathy on the part of the people who are the administrators, because of arrogance of power on the part of the administrators, because of corruption that was prevailing in the system. There is no exceptions. As I see the 3 pillars of the Constitution today, it's only a degree in difference. But you can't say this constitutional way is honest, this is honest, that is honest. There was a time when people used to say, even if the executive fails me, even if the legislature fails me, the judiciary will protect me. I'm not very confident. I'm not raising this for the first time, I'm treating because I'm a retired judge. No, I felt it even when I was there. But of course, the degree and the quantum is much less to the 2 other ways. For that matter, there's a 4th thing which has come up to the status of a constitutional recognition, the media, which is called the 4th estate. And that is not free from delegation of power. We have heard about the paid news concept. We have heard about big names, their conversation, the telephones, which has been reproduced in the newspapers. Where are we heading? I have raised this question when I was invited to speak in Sri Lalbhadur Shastri Institute of Public Administration at Mysore. I was invited by Marichana Reddy Institute of Public Administration at Hyderabad, National Police Academy at Hyderabad. But nobody has an answer. Are we as a nation failing? If so, let's understand it. Let's not sweep it under the carpet. Let's try and find out a way in with it. If people want to go to public service, then we should realize they are there to administer the country. 124 or 25 crores of people are dependent on the service rendered by the executive. You're not paid, I'm not talking, you are maybe going there. But try and understand, the executive is paid well in this country. If you are suffering from a disease which I call it as greed or need disease, nothing is enough. But otherwise, yes. How do we change this? I saw such sufferings of the people, to which the people in power who are supposed to understand the problem and solve the problem for the man who is suffering because of maladministration, they will not bother. Karnataka Lokayukta institution as it stands today, I'm qualifying it because there is a move to bring in a new law and replace the old law, is the best enactment in India that any state has. But there is a move afoot. I'm sorry to say it has originated not from the politicians, but from the executive. I was told by a media person that it will take 2 minutes in the cabinet to pass the decision taken to replace the existing act. I'm not going to feel that. I wrote a piece in Prajavani, the center stage. I'd like to place it before you for your consideration. As the institution of Lokayukta stands today, it's a product of merger of two institutions called the State Vigilance Commission, which was in existence up to 1984, headed by a retired Chief Justice, our High Court Judge, and an ACP, anti-corruption body, headed by a senior police officer. Since the function was found not suitable, and taking an advice from the recommendation of the first Administrative Reforms Commission made in 1966, Karnataka legislature merged these two institutions into one and formed Lokayukta Act. So it had given the new institution the power to investigate the corruption part of it, but that investigation had to be done only by the police because of the provisions of the Prevention of Corruption Act, which required any investigation under the act to be conducted by a police officer not below the rank of a deputy superintendent of police. Nobody else had any authority to do that. Now that is given to the Lokayukta institution to be performed by the police department of the Lokayukta, and a grievance redressal power vested with the Lokayukta, which had the power to investigate any complaints against maladministration, people's complaint against administration, and inquire into it and make recommendations to the government. It's a holistic body, ladies and gentlemen, which says the object of the Act is to oversee good governance, including prevention of corruption, nepotism, and arbitrariness in administration. When I worked from 3rd of August 2006 to 2nd of August 2011 for 5 years, I got the statistics after I read the draft Act. We had received 28,640 grievance redressal complaints in 5 years. That's about nearly 5,000 cases a year. Whereas that part of the Lokayukta is taken away under the new Act. The new Lokayukta institution will have no power to entertain a complaint against maladministration. They have to go to the court. And we know what's happening in the court. It takes 5 years to 15 years for the first case to be over in the trial court. Take Lavi Yadav's case, 15 years. Take Sukram's case, 16 years. Still pending. Why have they decided to take away this power of the Lokayukta? Lokayukta didn't complain, it's overloaded. And all the 24,000 plus cases were decided in 5 years. Without anything pending. And in the criminal side, prevention of corruption side, I think one case, somebody's case, got tried in a speedy manner. They want to take away the power. And we were only 2 Lokayuktas. One Lokayukta and one Lokayukta. Now there are 2 Lokayuktas and 1 Lokayukta. The recommendation is 9 Lokayuktas to clear that 1,000 cases in 5 years. And that also not done by the Lokayukta police. And decided by the courts. What are they trying to do? Is it an employment agency for retired people? 9 Lokayuktas? And one out of 9, one is the chief Lokayukta. And this under this act, even the chief minister could be investigated. Nothing is far from the truth. That power originally was there in the Lokayukta Act. Taken away. Then I demanded that it should be given back to me, so motu power to investigate against the chief ministers and ministers. Given to me in 2009 with no condition precedents. And the new act, yes, the Lokayukta has the power to investigate the chief minister, provided 2/3 of the 9 Lokayuktas decide, yes, we'll have an institution, another inquiry instituted against the chief minister, which was most stronger. Who are they taking? They think everybody can believe in the system. And hitherto Lokayukta police and information, credible information could start an investigation. Now no. They have created a new body called State Vigilance Commission, back again to 1984. A 3-member body. It was a 2-member body earlier. Now a 3-member body. That will go into the allegations received by the police. They will scrutinize it and they will decide whether there should be a police investigation. The power that only a police officer can investigate has been neutralized by saying this act of the state will override all other provisions in the Central Act, that is the Prevention of Corruption Act. First of all, police cannot investigate. They can get the permission only from the vigilance body. And the police investigation is to be supervised by another post called the Director of Prosecution. Director of Investigation. What's the use of these 9 Lokayuktas? What are they going to do? Then when that investigation, if and when was permitted by the Vigilance Commission, permitted by the Director of Investigation, if it is investigated, then whether the matter should be taken to file an FIR in the court will have to be decided by another post created under this Act for the Director of Prosecution. One is Director of Investigation, one is Director of Prosecution. All these posts are to be filled by retired bureaucrats who had some experience in the field of corruption. Maybe they themselves were corrupt, so that's also an experience. What are they trying to portray? This is the position under the new Act. And one honorable minister was repeatedly mentioning to the media, all this is done to strengthen the existing Lokayukta. this is the position in which we are. Well, coming back to the role of the executive or the civil service in curbing corruption, I deliberately use the word curbing because this word, eliminating corruption, I think is something that's impossible. Because corruption was not born in the last decade or last century. Corruption was born with the birth of civilization itself. It's a creation of God. It's not the existence of corruption which is ipso facto bad. It's the growth of corruption that is bad. I was giving an example, which I always, whenever I go, I've been to more than 710 educational institutions to interact with the students. I say the same thing, because the facts which fits into the speech is the same. And I keep saying it, and I want to speak about the values. Values are only one color. So I keep speaking the same thing. In 1950s, there was one scam which came to the public domain, called the Jeep scam. It was in regard to purchase of Jeep vehicles from Great Britain for the Indian Army. The amount involved was 52 lakhs of rupees. Of course, the 50s lakh years were only there, crorepati's were not there. 52 lakhs was a huge amount of money then, but it's pittance today. Then there was Mundra scam in LIC, Bharat Bank scam where Mr. Dalmia was involved, there was Nagarwala scam in Central Bank. Like that, it went on coming out in public domain one by one. In 1986, a major scam came out, the Bofors, 64 crores. Number 64 crores in 86, 2010. Commonwealth Games, 70,000 crores. 2G, 1.76 lakh crores. Colgate, 2012, 1,86,000 crores. And one economist advisor to the government of India, day before yesterday, said, these are all without evidence. Do you think a constitutional officer holding the post of a Comptroller and Auditor General of India gives a report to the Parliament without any evidence? Look at the point, says all these allegations are without evidence. You want to believe a politician? You want to believe an advisor who is there to advise the matter in which the government wants him to advise? You believe him? Or you believe the Comptroller and Auditor General of India? Thank God he didn't say about 2G. Because 2G charge sheet has been filed by the CBI. Now, you go into these scams. None of these scams would ever have occurred if the bureaucrat in charge of the decision-making process there said, no sir, I will not sign the file. They didn't. Nobody did. Imagine the rule. Of course I know there is a ministry, one or two or more. But look at the independence of these people who were chosen with so much hope. The speeches of these eminent members of the Constituent Assembly to protect their rights against powers that are. In spite of all this, the constitutional authority has shown the Jeep scam, the Bofa scam, the 2G scam, the Commonwealth scam, the Gold scam. In every one of them, take others. There's every one of them, there is a bureaucrat, one or two or three involved in it. I feel at times the members of the legislature, concerned members of the executive are today conjoined twins. One can't survive without the other. That is why these scams. And also remember, ladies and gentlemen, scams do not come easily to the public domain. It comes after a great bit of effort from somebody or other. And it's another thing to say, oh, what has happened? He has been defamed because he has been publicly mentioned to be taught. So in the new Lokaयुcta Act, there is a provision which says the investigating agency shall not disclose the names of persons involved in this offences under the prevention of corruption. My dear media friends, we'll have to wait for 16 years before a court says, yes, he's guilty or not. Who will read your newspaper after 16 years? People should be starved of information what's happening there. Of course, there are ways and means. There are defamation cases against me. I've said something, I got to stand by that. But if I have not mentioned during my tenure to the people of Karnataka, they have never have known what's happening in administration in Karnataka. I did a mining investigation. 3 chief ministers' name is there. Of course, somebody is going on saying one particular chief minister has been acquitted. But I would like to remind them there is a CBI inquiry and FIR is pending. In spite of the judgment of the High Court, that FIR is filed. Then there are 9 other ministers in that report, 700 plus officers, IAS, IPS, KAS, KPS, and other officers were there. The lady who introduced me said, I resigned and I came back. Yes, I did resign. The reason was to protect an officer who was serving under me, who was investigating the Bilike report case. Even today, yesterday, the reports have been coming where the bail has been refused to those persons. He went there and he found all the seized material had disappeared. Huge quantity of material, 25 lakh metric tons of it, I know, seized by the Lokaयुcta police and the investigating agency, which was conducting the mining report, mining irregularities, which had disappeared, and he sent a message to the Lokaयुcta. Then a minister goes to Bilike. Summons the officer, and the officer says, I can't come to the place you have asked me to come. So he was directed to be kept under suspension. He was kept under suspension, and I requested the government to withdraw the suspension, because whatever that was done should be held, I should be held responsible, not that officer. They refused to do that. So I said, if I can't protect my officers, I don't deserve to be in that chair. I did resign. But I withdrew my resignation for whatever reason it is. But I have no regret, because if I had not withdrawn my resignation, that mining report would never have seen the sunlight of the day. Fortunately, for some reason, which some say for motivated, I accept any allegation made, but I'm glad I could complete a report of 26,000 pages and mention everything that was happening ever since the year 2000. If somebody is responsible for this report being filed, I would say it is one chief minister who invited me to come to Karnataka to be the Lokaयुcta, whose name is also there. And other chief minister who thought he was cleverer and he could rope in the previous chief minister and extended the period of investigation from 2006, it was in the first step, and the next chief minister said 2006 to 2010, which brought in his period also into it. So I think if somebody has to blame somebody, blame these 2 persons. One brought me here, gave me the name. It was before Justice N.Santosh. They changed it, they thought there is a pliable person now, give it to them. Then another chief minister, because by then I gave my interim report of 2006-2007, where one chief minister's name was there. He thought, well, now I can bring in the other chief minister into it. Yes, he brought him. But he brought himself also into it. Well, all this digressed matter in a subject which is otherwise, maybe the aspirants are sitting here, is, my dear, youngsters, come for administration. Join the executive of India. Everybody respects. But then, keep in mind one thing. You are a public servant. You're paid well. You have a responsibility. You have to discharge that responsibility. Most of all, be a content person and be honest. I am very disappointed with the society in which I am living. A society which has lost all values. A society which respects only power and wealth. Society does not go into the fact of how we acquired the wealth, how we acquired the power. Very fact that he is a wealthy person, very fact he is a powerful person is enough for the society to sort of worship these people, invite them to the podium, felicitate them, and send wrong messages to other youth in this country. Money and power is good enough to get the respect of the society. Honesty has no meaning, no respect in the society in which we are living. Change this society. It's your future. It's elders like me who have spoiled that society. It's your responsibility to bring back the glory that the executive deserves. Change your thinking. Try and understand the true meaning of the word contentment, satisfaction, or what we call in vernacular, tripti. It's not that feeling which you get when you acquire something illegally. That's not a feeling of contentment, because you would have gone to that state because of the greed in you. And greed never allows you to enjoy that feeling of tripti. Because it wants you to make more. It has no limit. It will keep inculcating in your mind, no, this is not enough, you've got to make more. How will you ever be happy? On the contrary, if you develop an attitude of contentment with what you legitimately have, that gives you the satisfaction. People may not respect you, they will say, useless child. He could have made so much money, and he didn't do that. Totally useless guy. That's okay. If you have a means by which you respect yourself, you don't want public respect. If you change that attitude of the society, make the society boycott the corrupt. No better punishment than that. The legal punishment will never come on time, will never be sufficient. And when you acquit a person with the people believe him to be corrupt, that sends another message to the corrupt. Don't be afraid. Therefore, my dear youngsters, we are aspiring for it. Why join politics? I have nothing against it, provided you are a content man. Provided you think you are a public servant and not a public master. Why do I repeat this? When I was in Anna team, and Anna Hazariji wrote a letter to the Honorable Prime Minister to interact with the Anna team because they had drafted a Lokpal bill, one member of parliament, then now a minister in the central cabinet, said, "Who are you? Unelected, unelectable tyrants? Who are you to negotiate the government? We have no authority. We are there." Where have we come to? The man whom we elect is asking, "Who are you to negotiate with the government?" He is my representative, I sent him to negotiate. That doesn't mean I'm giving a power of attorney that I've relinquished my right as a citizen of this country. After all, who am I? Asked him to open the first sentence in the Constitution of India, which starts with the word "we, the people of India." Here is a person elected by us. He does not know I am that person who adopted this constitution. And he questions, who are you? I have not yet decided whether I write my biography. If I do, the title of the biography will be Who Am I? I have seen such things in 5 years as Lokaयुcta. You don't find any other judge coming and sitting in Maidans and shouting slogans. You will never see a judge who comes out to functions with open collar shirt without a suit. No, but then, I'm not Aam Aadmi, I'm a simple man. I mean, this is the way things are. Unless your participation is there, I don't think you can change this system. If you don't change the system, you'll be going further into the drain. And deeper you go, it becomes more difficult for you to interact. It's not only you, my dear friends, it's your children and their children. They want to see a better governance. They want to see a more honest governance. Give them a chance also, which we didn't give to you. Master Pradeep, a lyric writer and also a songwriter otherwise, wrote many patriotic songs. One of the songs which he wrote on the eve of adopting the Constitution of India on 26th of January 1950 was, the first line goes, लाए हैं तूफान से कश्ती निकाल के, लाए हैं तूफान से कश्ती निकाल कर इस देश को रखना मेरे बच्चों संभाल कर. Even today that is relevant. Even today. Oh, I wrote it in the context of 50s. Nobody heard it. Nobody followed it. In 2014, I think, is that. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm prepared to take questions for 15 minutes before I can rush to the airport. I've been either on my legs or on my tongue since then, 4 o'clock in the morning.
So, do you think that the society is indirectly reason for the corruption by electing and encouraging them to the power, political power or any power?
Certainly. I hold the society absolutely responsible for the situation today because I don't find the society blaming the corrupt responsible for the situation today. By contra, if you go and interact with people, what they say is, ಯಾರ್ರಿ ಪ್ರಾಮಾಣಿಕರು ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಅವರು ತಗೊಳ್ತಾರೆ ಇವರು ತಗೊಳ್ತಾರೆ ಆ ಪಾರ್ಟಿನ ತಗೊಳ್ತಾರೆ ಈ ಪಾರ್ಟಿನ ತಗೊಳ್ತಾರೆ ಯಾಕೆ ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಭ್ರಷ್ಟರು ಅಂತ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಾ ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ವಾಟ್ ದ ಸೊಸೈಟಿ ವಿಲ್ ಕೀಪ್ ಟೆಲಿಂಗ್ ಯು. ಇನ್ನೊಂದಿದೆ, ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ಭ್ರಷ್ಟರಾದ್ರು ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಿಸ್ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು, ಇವರು ಅದು ಮಾಡಲ್ಲ ಇದು ಮಾಡಲ್ಲ.
Good evening, sir. My name is Justice. It's often said that if you want to change a system, join politics or bureaucracy. Sir, I would like to ask you, sir, why didn't you join politics? If age is a factor, advantage is still not out, why don't you join and change the system, sir?
This question has been asked many times to me. It's not a decision taken like, oh, I made a lot of promises, no, I can't fulfill it, so I will not resign from the government. It's not that decision we will take. When I joined Anna Hazare's movement, it was basically fighting against corruption in the form of creating a strong Lokpal bill. In the process, our attack was basically against the bureaucracy and the political parties. We had identified the political parties as the most corrupt institutions in the Indian background. Now, if I also join some political party, and if there's nobody else left out to be a watchdog against that political party which I have joined, who will fight them? This is the exact thing I told that new political party when they requested me to join. I said, who will look after you? What guarantee is there you will be honest right through? Outside power, everybody may be honest, because nobody will approach you. It's when you are in power, the testing time comes. Therefore, somebody should be outside power and watching the others so that you can stand up and say, this is wrong. What you are doing is wrong. Since I did not find many people in that category, I thought at least myself should be in that category. It's not only the age, it's not only my financial matters. And there's another important thing which I can never make recommendations. In today's context, I've seen from my neighbors and others, 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning, there's a huge queue in front of your house because all those people who voted for you or not, things that I will recommend his name for appointment, the transfer, promotion, this, that and other thing. I was coming out of the function, the people accompanied me with begging for the truth of this. One lady stopped the vehicle, begging literally, and gave me an application. He said she's applying for a job of a class 4 employee in a tender in a government institution. I said, madam, I don't recommend anybody. And in the present context, my recommendation will be disqualification. In front of them, I told them, I don't recommend. I can't do it if I'm elected as a member, which is most unlikely. Say I can't get up at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock, first of all. Then get up and receive banana, give to the PA, receive it, give to the PA. I can't do that. Because I can never recommend a man, and the exact word I told in front of them is, if I recommend, and if there is a better qualified person there, and if they accept my recommendation, I will bring injustice to that person. That's all.
About KPSC scam, without bothering CID report, they announced this final results, sir. What do you want to say about that, sir?
Well, I think it is sub judice right now. The government is also not accepting the entire recommendation. There is a new fresh interview going on with the thing, and a fresh evaluation is also going on with the thing. But I want to do one thing is, apart from taking action against the selected candidates, the person's concerned should be terminated. The country, the state, trusted them with such an important post of selecting all good. Thank you very much. Sorry for this coming and rushing.
Brought to you by Compete India's JeetoBharat, a one-stop internet-based interactive coaching for civil services exams. For more information, log on to www.jeetobharat.com.